Welcome to the Robes Away channel. I'm your host, Mark. If you're a returnee, welcome back. To the new noses on the channel, welcome. If you subscribe, please comment below. Love to see new faces. Now, today's test drive is on the brand of English Laundry, and my only bottle of the brand is right here. It was actually gifted to me by Chad with the YouTube handle Gentleman's Journey. So go check out Chad. Thank you, Chad. Very kind of him to give me, he gifted me like 3 bottles back in 2019. I unboxed them all on a video together back then, but today is the day, the real test for this particular fragrance. I tested out the other 2. I have videos on those, both Zegna fragrances. So I recall my unboxing of this, and I remember I felt like this was a poor man's Burberry London. So let's see if I feel the same now, wearing it for several days. So let's go under the hood. Let's take a look at Windsor pour Homme. Now, release date was back in 2016. No nose attached to this, at least I couldn't find one. Major notes to my nose are cinnamon. This is a cinnamon heavy fragrance. It is a spicy fragrance. But not only that, but it also meshes with a lavender note, and the back end of this fragrance is tobacco. Now, this is my scent of the day today, but I am going to spray it again. And my bottle, it leaks, and as you can tell here, the neck of it, which is silver, and the atomizer is gold, fell off. It gets stuck in the cap. Either way, let's remind myself of this introduction, and let me tell you what I think. Now, I'm not a fan of this fragrance, and I know I get a lot of backlash for, and I understand fragrance reviewers, giving positive, negative feedback, mostly positive. For me, you're going to get the real deal. I am not going to sugarcoat fragrances, and for the price, some people will love this, and the composition is okay, but once you've smelt, as much as I've smelt, you can start pinpointing things. And Windsor pour Homme, really, as much as I've tried to wear this and tried to see some, I'll give you some good things about it, some bad things, but it starts off exactly like I remembered it. Very screechy, and honestly not well composed, and it really doesn't boggle my mind that this is in a bargain bin. It still reminds me of Burberry London, yes. It's got some soft spices here, heavy on the cinnamon, and gives off a Thanksgiving/Christmas vibe, 100%. Once you start utilizing clove and cinnamon, it just brings me back to that. It does also have some fruity nuances. Those fruity nuances, I felt the only thing I could really pinpoint was green apple. But the fruity accord has no real discerning quality to it. So you can't pinpoint if there's other citruses involved. Really, what is the fruit in here? The only thing I could really smell and faintly smell here was a fresh green apple, not apple pie like. I know this gets compared to a Wajon, which has a baked apple pie. It has those spices, but it just, and that's where the scratchiness comes from, is there's more, but it doesn't feel right. Like, this fruity note doesn't go with the rest of the composition. It's fresh, not baked. The spices, they're a focal point in this opening, with the cinnamon being the leader of the spices. There's some pepper, some cardamom in here, so a little bit of clove, but yeah, the cinnamon is your leader here, and it does have a little bit of piquant in it. It is a spicy kind of cinnamon that it really does have some bite to it. Some compare this opening to Spice Bomb, to Wajon from the Marley. I still stand my ground that this smells more like a Burberry London to me, like a cheap alternative, we'll say, and Burberry London's cheap anyway, so it doesn't really matter. All of this gets mixed in with a floral hit of aldehydes, lavender. The lavender is massive in English Laundry here, and in this setting, and sadly it gives me that synthetic dryer sheet lavender, that cheap lavender. Anybody that's been on my channel since I started knows that what a cheap lavender does on my skin, and Windsor pour Homme here gives me that really cheap dryer sheet type of lavender, not a nice one. Now when the scent mixes the floral pieces with the spices, it gives the scent a blast from the past. I think the major parts of lavender and aldehydes will do that to many noses. It'll bring you, because aldehydic fragrances, it brings you back, and lavender-based fragrances do bring you back. Obviously, they were notes that were utilized quite a bit in the early days of perfumery. Now, going into the dry down of this fragrance, the tobacco shows. It's a spiced tobacco accord. Yes, it reminds me one of a candle. It's not a well done tobacco. The lavender backs this, doesn't help. It's very drier sheet. At times it kind of goes in the soapy aisle of things too on my skin. And there's some green nuances here, perhaps from a mossy accord. It also introduces a slightly sweet vanilla here. Again, not showing much nuances, just a plain old sweetness, but you know it's coming from the vanilla. Overall, my main issue with Windsor Pour Homme is, and always has been, the blending first and foremost. It's almost at a shocking point. It's like two separate fragrances that aren't working together really well. It feels like there's a floral component, like that old school, almost barbershop-y, because of the lavender, soapy, drier sheet, aldehydic, sparkly thing. And then on this other side, you got some spices that are actually kind of decent, but then you got this weird fruity nuance that really isn't working very well. You put that together and it's like two separate fragrances that aren't, the blending's just not there. And sadly to me is a scrubber. And it's been, I don't know how long, but it's been a while since I've actually called a fragrance that. I don't think I've ever called a fragrance a scrubber, but to me, this is not something that is geared towards me. This genre is overpopulated. Spice Bomb, Wajan, Homme Narguilé, Burberry London, just to name a few, like on one hand here. Burberry London is the big one here, because it's so much better than this. Personally, I feel Burberry London, again, for the price point, there's no reason to reach out for this. Go for the Burberry London for men. Now let's get into seasons, day, night, versatility, and performance. First off, seasons. This type of build is best for fall. You know, that Thanksgiving, Christmas time, again, winter, this type of DNA works so well in those seasons. I could see it, you know, in a nighttime during spring or summer, no problem there, but fall mostly. Day or night, I feel like nighttime more than anything. I just feel like this type of DNA feels better at night. And again, like maybe you're doing you know, you're staying in during the day and it's just too cold outside and you want to splash something on. This might be one of those, so it could be a daytime casual wear. Versatility, fairly average. I don't see anything, any issues as far as versatility goes. Performance, longevity, and this is one thing that my skin, I don't know, like my skin didn't do well with this one, and usually my skin is on par with the majority, we would say, or more. 4 to 6 hours of longevity, which is very weak. A lot of reviews say that this thing is a beast, and projection was average. And again, this fragrance lacked a little bit. So my final thoughts on Windsor for Men, Pour Homme, sorry, not for men, but Pour Homme. It's a poor man's Burberry London, period, for me. If you like this one, this genre is overly populated, like I said earlier, so you're in luck. There's many others to sniff. You know, I named off Spice Bomb. That's a good one. Even Tobacco Vanille. If you like this type of DNA, you may want to go big bucks and go check out Tobacco Vanille by Tom Ford. Or even, you know what, L'Occident, Eau de Beau. That's another one that's in this. CK1 Shock. I'm just thinking about others here. So this type of DNA is not new. And I think you can find personally a better constructed fragrance with the ones that I just named off, and that's like probably 6 or 7 already. You can do much worse than what this goes for at a bargain bins, honestly. And again, you can do a lot better, but you can do a lot worse than those bargain bins, I'll tell you that right now. But honestly, if you're not new to scents, this won't bring much newness to the table. And honestly, the blending itself is almost jarring to shocking to me. I've never felt a scent that transitions as badly as this, that is put together as bad as this. It's missing some sort of glue to put it together. A big old pass for me. And I haven't done this in years, that I've just told a fragrance that you're not for me. And you kind of have to have those type of reviews on a channel. I know a lot of reviewers don't do these videos. I don't mind doing them. I don't mind. I got tough skin. People click on these videos because they're either A, they just blind bought it and they're looking at a fragrance reviewer that maybe they trust me. B, they just bought it, they like it, and they want to see reviews. Or C, they're just about to purchase it and they don't like what I'm saying. But that is the gist of it. I'm always going to be honest with my personal opinion, and it's just an opinion, but not a fan of this one. So now I'm done with Windsor Pour Homme. Time for you to hit us up over the comment section. Well, we'll see how it goes, but looking forward to reading your comments. And as always, a greater pour fragrance will make a lasting impression. Choose your scent wisely. Thanks for watching, YouTube.